Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. I'm your host, Chanelle Allen. Mac and Talk is an open forum Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just getting started and need some help learning VoiceOver, or maybe you have been using your Mac for a while and still have some questions, or you could be deciding whether the Mac is even the right device for you in the first place. For whatever reason, I am glad that you have called in and are joining us now or joining us later on via the podcast. Since this meeting is being recorded, we do ask that everyone stay on mute at all times unless asking a question or making a comment. I will go over the procedure for that in just a little bit. Just know that we do not use the raised hand feature. Before we get into questions tonight, I want to talk to you about iBUG today, the ways to get a hold of us, and what is coming up this week. And really, the best way to know what is coming up is to visit our website. Our website is ibugtoday.org. And there you will find several links, including an upcoming events link, which currently shows all of the events for June, but I'm sure it will be updated with the July events. On our site, you can also listen to previous recordings of our workshops, find out more about who we are, and most importantly, register to get our emails, including a calendar of upcoming events. So if you register on our site, ibugtoday.org, you will then be able to stay informed of everything we are doing. Registration is free, as well as all of our events. Everything is free to everyone. Okay, and we are also on social media. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/ibugtoday, and a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/ibugtoday. And the group is a great place for people to interact. All of our announcements are posted to both places, but the group is really useful for in between our workshops where people might come up with questions about mainly iOS, but we have had Mac questions there. And if you do have Mac-specific questions, we have a discussion group. It's a Groups.io group, and the best way to find info about that is on our website, ibugtoday.org, and there is a Mac and Talk link. And you can find under that link my name and email and the link to subscribe. And my email is also listed in our upcoming events tab. So in either case, you can get a hold of me and get on our list. And we also are on Twitter and Instagram at iBugToday. Twitter is especially a great resource for all Apple news. Our Twitter master, Herbie Allen, posts lots of that and other news related to assistive technology, accessibility, and iDevices, Apple, Mac rumors, how-to guides, deals, you name it. Anything to do with Apple is posted there. Well, most things. So definitely check us out on Twitter. You can also visit our Twitter just by going to twitter.com/ibugtoday. And we are actually I'll get to that when I talk about our events. So we are ending out the month, but we have a pretty busy week. So far this week, we've had our iBUG Buzz, which happens every Monday night from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. And the iBUG Buzz call is for all of your iOS and iDevice questions. This call is for the Mac, but iBUG Buzz is for everything else Apple. And today, every Tuesday, we have this event, but we just finished our iBUG Mini Buzz on Clubhouse. That takes place every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central. All of the events are central, and all of the events that I mentioned that are on Zoom take place with the same Zoom information that you use to access the meeting tonight. So on Thursday, speaking of Clubhouse, we have It's iBUG's Life, all things transportation. That begins at 6 p.m. Central. And we will be talking about various modes of transportation now that life is getting back to normal. We also have iBUG Night at the virtual movies. That takes place every Friday. It's been going on for a little over a year now. It's a great success. And this week we will be watching Grease. The movie starts at 8. Actually, there's a pre-movie social at 7:30, and then a discussion follows after the movie. And we have our famous Apple iBUG workshop, which is this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. It's always the fourth Saturday of the month, where we discuss Apple news and some of our members give app demos. And as I said, if you want to know about, we do have one other thing coming up on Clubhouse, actually related to Mac and Talk. It will be in the iBug Today Club, and it's called the iBug Mac Buzz. I think I have that right. And it will be taking place every Wednesday, beginning is it next Wednesday or Wednesday, July 7th? Sandhya or
yes,
Herbie?
the 7th. Yes.
Okay, it is the
7th. First Wednesday in July, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that'll be from 5 to 7 p.m. So that's for anybody who wants more Mac calls, that's your place to go. And Herbie will be leading that. Okay, so I have gone through everything. Don't forget also, we have everything we do is now up on YouTube. We also have our iBug Buzz as a podcast on your smart speakers or any podcast app that you like to listen to. And with that now, we'll go into introductions. So the way the meeting works is when you want to speak, you will say your name, wait for me to acknowledge you, and then ask your question. When you're done and when your question has been answered, please go back on mute. Mute is toggled in different ways depending on the device you're using. On the iPhone app, it is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. On the iPad, it is somewhere in the middle of the screen. Using a Mac, you will press Command Shift A. And on the PC, you will press Alt-A. So now what we like to do is just go around, say your name, where you are calling from, and if this is your first time joining us on Mac and Talk. I didn't think we had any first-timers when we started, but we may now. I'll begin. I am Chanelle, and I am in Houston, Texas.
I am Owen. I am in Houston, Texas.
Hi, Owen. Welcome.
I'm John, and I'm in Wisconsin.
Hi, John.
This is Patrick in Connecticut.
Hello.
This is Judy in Connecticut.
Hi, Judy.
Mark in Montreal, and I'm an old timer.
Yay. Hi, Mark. Well, yay to everybody.
Dan from San Diego.
Okay, welcome, Dan.
I'm Kathy in Pennsylvania. This is not my first time, but I missed last month.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you back, Kathy.
Thank you.
Terry from Houston.
Hi, Terry.
Gail in Houston.
Hi, Gail.
And Susan Semler from Houston.
Hi, Susan.
Keith in Austin.
Hi, Keith.
Sandhya in Houston.
Hi, Sandhya.
Hi, I'm Marvin from Chicago.
Oh, hi, Marvin. I think you've joined us before, maybe?
Yes, I have.
All right. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yep.
David Mandel from Berkeley, California.
Oh, David, and I think you are joining us for the first time, if correct?
I think I came once. Oh, well, now it's almost 2 years ago because.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you. Now, do you have a Mac? I forget.
I am. Yeah, I'm getting a new one though when the new M1X or M2 Max come out. I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for calling. And if you do have a Mac question, since you are fairly new, you have the opportunity to ask the first question. Or you can listen. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think I'd rather listen right now, and then I'll come up with a question.
All right. Sounds great.
Thanks.
Yep.
Michael in Houston.
Hi, Michael.
Chanelle, I had a quick, I wasn't here for all the announcements, but
Sure.
just want to make sure people are aware starting the first Wednesday in July, which is, I think, July 7th. We're going to be offering a Mac Q&A help session on Clubhouse. And that'll be on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Central Time.
Awesome.
And that'll be facilitated by Herbie Allen, and possibly Chanelle will be helping out with that too.
Yeah, thank you. I did mention it, but it's always good to hear directly from the president's mouth. So,
And this is
Okay,
Herbie from Houston. I am here. I had a Mac freeze up, so yeah.
uh-oh. All right. Well, welcome. Okay, so I think is that everyone? Oh, no. Well, I think so. So, who would like to ask our first question?
This is Owen.
Hi, Owen.
I had a quick question about when I do get my first Mac, is there an easy way to turn on voiceover like you would, like say, for example, like in Windows, you just hold down enter and narrator comes up. Is there an easy way to do something like that before I go have to get someone cited to do it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Who would like to answer and help Owen out?
This is Gail.
Yeah, go
This is
ahead,
Gail.
Gail.
I think, isn't it, I think it's Command F5. Well, should I talk about the keyboard?
This is Herbie.
Okay, Gail.
But
Go ahead, and then
isn't that,
Herbie.
well, I think it is. I think, like I know on my Mac to turn voiceover, when I turn voiceover on, I went to the function row at the top. Well, the very first one, I think was accent. And so then I counted 5 from the top over and found F5 and then command. There's a space bar, and just to the left of the space bar is the command button, and you hold that down and then you press F5 and that will turn voiceover on.
All right, very good. And Herbie, you were going to add to that?
Well, Gail is definitely correct, but one thing I wanted to mention was that when you first open your Mac, it will actually talk to you, and I'm sure that's still true with the M1 Macs. So it actually talks when you first open it, and it'll actually tell you if you want to enable voiceover, do Command F5. So just wanted to make sure you were prepared for that for when you first get your Mac.
Yes, indeed. And I think the talking, I think the talking actually.
And you were muted.
What?
You were muted.
Oh, I was? Oh.
You were. I heard you talking in the other room, but you were not coming through over here, so.
Interesting. Okay, so I think the talking actually takes a little bit to come up after the prompt, but the visual prompt, but basically is like, are you there? And it'll talk to you. So yeah, I hope that helps you out.
John.
Thank you.
Oh, hi, John.
And you can also enable Siri.
Not when it's
well,
John.
Not the beginning.
Yeah, when we're
beginning.
Okay, John.
Okay, just to clarify what Gail was saying, when you're going to your F5 key, that is not the accent. The top left corner of the keyboard is your escape key. So
you're right.
You have your escape key, then your
sorry.
F1, and so on and so forth.
That is correct.
Yes.
Excellent.
Sorry. Thank
This
you,
is
John.
Sri.
Yes.
Yes, Shri.
And also, if you have a laptop, you can press your fingerprint button on the top right 3 times. That will also turn on voiceover or turn off voiceover.
Yeah, if you hold it down with the command, or if you hold down command and press it in 3 times. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, hopefully that helps you out, Owen. And I'm looking forward to your experience, hearing about your experience with your first Mac.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
I was just going to make a plug to kind of help. Chanelle did a training on the Mac, and it's available on YouTube. And if you're new to the Mac, definitely check it out. I've been listening to it. It's pretty informative. So if you're not subscribed to YouTube, subscribe to the iBUG Today YouTube page, and you can check out those videos.
Oh, that's right. That was our former iBUG class, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. All right. Who would like to ask our next question?
Marvin from Chicago.
Hi, Marvin.
So does that mean that you no longer offer the Mac class and I can pick it up from YouTube?
Well, we do offer the class. There is a waiting list. I can't remember if you're on it or not, but picking it up from YouTube is definitely an option if committing to the class just does not work with your schedule.
Okay. I have registered with you to be on the waiting list, so I believe
Okay. Well, I'll be sending out some info shortly in a month or two, and then you can decide then what would be easiest for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Chanelle. Chanelle, how does one find the class? If you could give some idea of the link.
And who is this speaking?
This is David.
David. Okay, so we have an iBUG. If you search for iBUG Today on YouTube,
Right.
That is probably the easiest way to find us. And then is that what you're interested in? Listening
to the class. So I was wondering should I look for class, or would that be in the link, or?
I think we have different, somebody from iBUG we have different playlists on YouTube, I think. So,
all right.
I'd
Very
have
good.
to. Yes. No problem. Shri, I think, were you saying something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just basically, if you just search for iBUG Today and then subscribe to it, and if you subscribe to it, once these things get posted, you'll get notification.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The Mac stuff should be up there, but I don't know if it's in its own playlist. But yeah, just look for iBUG Today and you'll be good.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
This is Eileen.
Yes, Eileen.
Yeah, I just had what I hope is a quick question. I was saying earlier that I've noticed on my Mac in my I believe it's in my HD volume, there's a folder there, and I don't know if I might have accidentally created it by pressing a key I shouldn't have pressed, or if it happened after one of these recent updates that came through. But it's something like aliases. So one, does that sound familiar? Did I create it, or was it put on by the system? And more importantly, is it okay for me to delete it and get rid of it?
All right, Gail, go ahead.
Yeah, it was created by one of the updates, and it's on the desktop, and you can delete it, because I remember asking that question.
Oh.
And so you can go ahead and delete it.
All right, yeah, thank you. So basically,
I think I asked that last time, and
I thought I saw it though in with my other folders.
This is John.
Yes, John.
Okay, Gail is correct. It is part of your updates. However, what it does, it's an alias for Windows users. It would be considered a shortcut, kind of, but it links to your relocated folder, which I do believe is under your share. If you go Command Shift H and you go to you go up to users, whatever, but you'll find it. But that's where files are located that the system no longer needs or unable to use. and you can delete that folder.
Not the relocated, but the alias.
I'm talking both. You can delete the
I can get
relocated
rid
folder
of
as well.
both of them. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, like he was saying, the alias is just kind of a shortcut, so it just points to that whatever, I've accidentally created aliases myself that have nothing to do with updates, just an alias for a drive or whatever. And yes, you can delete any alias that you find.
Okay.
Yep. And then, like John said, you have to do some digging for the original depending on what it is. But all right, excellent question. So who would like to ask our next question?
This is Dan.
Yes, Dan.
Okay, you mentioned Command Shift H. What does that do?
Okay, so when you are in the well, I should let somebody else answer. Who would like to answer that question?
Eileen.
This is John.
Okay, Eileen and then John.
I believe that brings you to your home folder.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And John?
I can't add to that.
Okay. Yeah, so basically there are different folders in the Finder on your Mac, and you can use different shortcuts to get to them, like Command Shift O goes to Documents, Command Option L goes to Downloads, it's Command Shift I, or I think goes to iCloud Drive. So there's a bunch of them. Another way to access those is via the menu bar in the Go menu. And the nice thing about going into the menu bars is that the shortcuts, any options in the menus that have shortcuts, those keyboard commands will be listed. So, great question. It's important to clarify sometimes what we mean by certain things on the Mac or any device.
Currently unmuted.
Who would like to?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, you are.
Nancy from Massachusetts.
Hi, Nancy. Welcome. Are you a first-time caller?
I think I may be, actually.
Oh, okay. Great. Do you have a Mac?
I do.
Awesome. Okay. And how did you hear about us?
A friend.
Great. And do you have any questions?
I do. So when I use Gmail on my Mac, does it matter if I'm in standard view or HTML? Can I use shortcuts either way or no?
Who would like to answer that question? Okay, well, I honestly have not. I'm sure there are shortcuts. In standard view, you could use the shortcuts that are listed. I think the way to show what the shortcuts are is Command ? And yeah, those would probably only work for standard view.
Okay.
Otherwise, in HTML view, you can just use typical voiceover shortcuts, that various methods of navigating the web. But
okay, thank you. Could I ask another quick?
Sure.
So when I compose an email and I want to add an emoji, what happens is half the screen is taken up with the emojis and the other half is my email. So I don't know how to select an emoji and bring it to the email. I have a roundabout way of doing it, but I have a feeling there's a more efficient way to do it.
And are you using VoiceOver?
Yes.
Okay. Who has anybody had experience with selecting emojis and putting them in emails? Yes, this is Chanelle, and I always found that hard myself. There's some app for the Mac. I want to say it's called Smile, or I used to have it. I'd have to go digging through my apps to find it. But it basically would let you press the dollar sign or the colon or whatever and start typing the first few letters of the emoji you wanted, and then it would come up with suggests. So it was a much easier way.
Oh, nice. Okay.
If you contact, yeah, if I will see if I can think of it by the end of this call. If I can't, then if you go to our ibugtoday.org site, you probably came in a little bit late, but
I did. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. My contact info is listed under the Mac and Talk link.
Mhm.
And so my name is Chanelle and my email address will be listed there. And you could send me an email and then I will try to get you that information.
Very
This is
good.
Herbie.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Herbie, go ahead.
You know, it just occurred to me, I wonder, if you can get to the emoji keyboard, you could create like keyboard shortcuts.
Well, you know what's weird is when I'm composing an email, it's different because I see what you're saying. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I
create
was
some
thinking,
keyboard shortcuts for the emojis and you could just type them in.
yeah.
Are
I
you
get that.
thinking of text replacement, Herbie? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes. Whatever it's called now. But
This is John.
Yes, John.
To access those emojis, and Chanel, this is what you're talking about, I think. To get to that list, I think it's option spacebar.
Yes.
But I don't know how to choose one. It's a PETA.
Yeah, no, that's why I was talking.
Blanks.
That's why I was talking about an external app that kind of that actually makes it accessible to choose one, because I have also tried option space. And
I don't know how to
This is
choose
Herbie.
one from that list.
Yes, Herbie.
I thought of another interesting workaround with the emojis. It's not a perfect solution. But if you have an iPhone, it occurred to me you could create a text file and paste a whole bunch of emojis in there that you are likely to use. And then whenever you want to use one in an email on the Mac, open that text file and text edit, find the emoji, select it, and paste it in the email. I wonder if that would work.
That's an ingenious workaround.
I have not tried it. I only just thought of it. So I'm not, I want to be clear. I'm not saying it'll work, but.
Okay, Keith, go ahead.
Is there a search field on the emoji keyboard like there is in iOS?
I don't think there ever, well, I have not looked at it in a long time, so I need to look at that. John or anyone else, do you know?
Yeah, that would be curious.
If there's a search field
This
in
is
that?
John.
Yes, John?
I don't believe there is.
Okay.
Although I guess I'm darn frustrated with it. I really,
Yeah,
I didn't really
I know.
look that hard because it's, it's a pain. So
It is.
I
That's why
don't know
that-
if there is or not.
That's why that third party. Yeah, Keith, go ahead.
Also, when you do the option, is it option spacebar? I found it by accident on the iPhone, but can you use the arrow buttons at that point to scroll through the emojis and use the up and down to select the emoji?
You'd think, but for some reason, there's something about it doesn't seem
just
to
doesn't work.
So
I'll have to play with it.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is Herbie.
Thanks.
Yes, Herbie.
Here's a question for all you dictators out there. Okay. Can you use dictation to put in an emoji?
This is John. I don't know. I don't. I
This
love
is
that
Keith.
Herbie dictator. I don't. That's interesting. I don't know if you can. If you've got maybe Siri invoked on the Mac, then you might be able to do that. I mean, on the iPhone, that's how I pick my emojis. I'll, pick emojis, and then right after the message, there's a text field you can click on. Then you can go down and dictate. So maybe if you have Siri invoked on the Mac, maybe that's a possibility. I don't know.
This is Keith.
Yes, Keith?
I know on the iPhone, you can dictate like, hello, Chanelle, smiley. I mean, there are keywords for emojis, so it's worth a try.
It is. So I'm kind of looking at this emoji thing, and I can do, so it's actually control or command control space, and I see a search in the toolbar. So if I type in smile, there's a category, and then, oh, no, I shouldn't be playing around with this. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. It's just saying it's not as quite as intuitive. So I'd have to, but there is a search in the toolbar. But that Herbie will have to do a video, and I'll have to find that other app that I know of that you can literally, it sits in your menu extras, or that, status menus thing. And as you type in certain characters, it will try to find a emoji. So, yeah. Anyway, excellent questions and discussion.
Susan?
Yes, Susan.
Yeah, new question. I was wondering, when the last upgrade came up on the Mac, or whenever there are new upgrades that will be coming along in the future, do they offer new shortcut commands, like in the menu? Are they available, or are the ones that we're using now that's been around for I don't know how long, to keep using them, or does some of them no longer work? So that's my question. Or also, if you need to learn a new one, if the old one doesn't work anymore on the upgrade, then how do you find out what the new ones are?
All right, excellent question. Who would like to answer?
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
Yeah, I think that's a really tough question to answer because you don't know till after it gets installed whether something is broken or not.
Right.
So I would say majority of the time that I've seen, they really don't change too much, but there has been issues where they did something and something didn't work and they had to fix it later.
Yep.
But I think it's a tough one to answer.
Thank you. Okay, Brad.
My answer would be, if you, for keyboard commands, and a lot of them aren't voiceover, but you go through the menu bar.
Yep.
And pull down each of the pull down menus, and many of the keyboard commands, not all, but many of them are listed. And I would think if there's any changes, they would show up there.
Excellent. Yeah, and I was thinking, Apple does also release support articles, and if you go to, support.apple, and search for keyboard or Mac keyboard commands, or like you said, you can go into the menus, and sometimes you can go into an app's help menu and just type in keyboard commands and pull up a list of things. But in general, no, voiceover commands don't, keyboard commands really, and voiceover commands, because they're two separate things, don't change too much from system to system.
This is John.
Yes, John.
Now, and Chanelle, you're correct. And Brad, were the menus. However, if you run system report and you try to save that sucker, off to your right, people say, well, just click on save. That's not there. Now, as far as, because otherwise you see the find or whatever. However, if you Google how to save your system report, you're going to come up with Command S as in Sam.
Yeah, sometimes Googling things is definitely a good way to find out an answer. I have not saved a system report in a while or done that, but yeah, excellent. All right, who has the next question?
This is Gail.
Yes, Gail.
Okay, a couple, one question. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, I didn't know if Herbie was going to do that demonstration of the keyboard you were talking about for the.
Well, he mentioned He suggested a demonstration.
Suggested
You know, he
demonstration.
didn't or thought
Yeah.
it might be kind of neat, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought that would be neat. Yeah, that was one thing I was going to mention. The other thing I wanted to bring up was a quick question. I don't turn my Mac off. I would say rarely. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to ask, how often should you turn it off, or should it be a shutdown, or you know, I usually you know, just, you know, since I have the laptop, MacBook Air, I usually just, you know, put the, you know, top down. But should I, you can probably hear thunder. Should I be shutting it down, restarting it, or how often should you do it? I mean, I know with Windows, it was like, you know, a lot, but that's my question.
I think we have talked, maybe but you know,
I
things.
probably forgot.
This is Herbie.
I probably
Okay.
forgot if we talked about it.
Herbie, go ahead.
So first of all, because I know a lot of people were not on the call earlier, what Gail's referring to with the keyboard demonstration, and this would be a great topic, you know, since we've got some iBUG cafe heads here, like Sandhya and Shri. Somebody discussing like Bluetooth keyboards, like the difference between how you would use a Mac with a Bluetooth keyboard versus iOS.
Oh, I thought we were talking about, oh, I didn't know that's what you were talking about.
That's what I was talking about, or that's what I suggested to Chanelle earlier.
Oh,
Yep.
I thought you were talking, I thought you were talking
Okay.
about,
Anyway, as far as the,
But
did you have
the
something
other
else?
thing, though.
Oh,
So
the
there's
command.
nothing wrong with shutting down your Mac once a day. That being said, I have left mine on for a week at a time. But I did find that it would get sluggish. So I'd say at least every 3 or 4 days is a good idea. But there's nothing wrong with doing it, you know, every single day if you want. But you can definitely leave it on for, you know, a couple days at a time with no problems.
This is Brad.
So do you permanently, do you do the
Brad?
regular shutdown?
Okay, well let's do Brad. And
Okay,
then
go ahead, Brad.
I was gonna say, I have a Mac Mini, sits on my desk. It never, ever gets shut down. I may reboot it once a week, every 10 days. Like Herbie says, every now and then you'll notice the performance, or I'll notice it's warm when it shouldn't be. But unless I'm go out of town for a few days, I might shut it off. But it runs for months at a time sometimes. But I do reboot it periodically. You know, I got a laptop, and I tend to shut it down all the time. I mean, they all boot up pretty quick. Even the Mac Mini has an SSD; it boots up pretty quick. But sometimes when I'm traveling and I may be at a meeting where I'm using it every day, that one I may just close the top throughout the day or even overnight, and I may go a day or two. But again, like Herbie said, you know, there's nothing wrong with rebooting it. It's fast, but again, a lot of times, like my desktop, I never reboot it. It runs all the time.
Okay.
Yep. All right, excellent question. So, who else, or who would like to ask our next question?
Well, this is Gail. I had another quick one. Can I ask? This is another.
Well, let's see if there's somebody else who wants
go ahead.
first.
Okay. Go
Who
ahead.
was speaking just now? Oh, there wasn't? Oh. Okay. Yeah, so does anyone have a question?
This is Patrick.
All right, Patrick, go ahead.
It's sort of like a comment about those emojis.
Uh-huh.
You know,
excellent.
I've never used them before, but I just now open up my Gmail, and with the M1 Mac Book Air, I hit the function key and something called a character viewer opens up.
Oh, yeah.
And you can choose any kind of category. So I just chose pictographs, and then I stopped interacting with that, and I went over to the table, and I just happened to pick a quarter moon, and it went right into the email. So with this one, I've never done it before, and I did it in like 2 seconds. So maybe I never tried it on my older MacBook Air because I never think about them, but So
Right.
maybe on the older ones, it is a bit harder or very frustrating. But this one, man, took me like 3 seconds. I
Oh,
never even opened the
excellent.
thing before.
Oh, I love this on the call research and trying. Thanks so much, Patrick. Well, that's what everybody can look forward to if you get an M. And I will see what it is like using when I have some time to play with it. But thank you.
And as
That
far as
is,
shutting down computers, boy, I never. I mean, this thing goes to sleep, of course, but boy, maybe once a week I reboot it, and that's it. It just always stays on.
yeah, excellent.
It doesn't
Great.
seem to bother it, you know.
Yep. Okay.
I'm finished then.
Oops.
Thank you.
Nancy,
with a comment.
sorry.
Yes, Nancy and then Terry.
So my iMac is 8 years old, and I'm looking to upgrade it. I'm at Catalina currently,
Okay.
and so one thing that I notice that happens from time to time is my husband used to call it the beach ball. You know, you get that Safari busy
Oh,
and
yes.
that thing. And what causes that?
All right. Who would like to answer?
This is
Nancy?
John.
Okay, Brad and then John.
The spinning beach
Mhm.
ball, as it's sometimes called,
Mhm.
is it's similar to on Windows. You might see an hourglass. It's telling you that
Oh.
something is in process. A process is going on, and sometimes I have found on websites it may be hanging up, waiting to get information from the website, waiting to load. I get that a lot less since I upgraded my Mac Mini a year ago to a new one. I used to have a 2012 Mac Mini with i7 processor. My new one, of course, is newer, much faster, and has a lot more RAM. I don't seem to have that issue. I do sometimes find issues with websites and the waiting. I don't know what the real name for that. I've heard it called the spinning beach ball. I've heard it called a spinning pizza. But I have found that sometimes I get that, and turning off voiceover, Command F5 will help it download whatever it's got to do. I have had some websites where it just gets hung up on that and it won't go away. And I've had to, and if it's a website I've really got to do something on, I've had to get Ira up on TeamViewer and turn off voiceover and let them do whatever I need to do. But I find that a lot less now. I believe you said you have the older iMac, and
I do.
that could have something to do with it. It's, I don't know how old you said, 8 years. So that's about the same
Mhm.
age as my 2012 Mac Mini. And it may be time to think about a new machine.
Absolutely. I'm thinking.
All right, John. Thanks, Brad.
Well, just a couple thoughts here. For one thing, Nancy, your iMac is a rotational drive, and that can make a difference as compared to SSDs, which are now used, of course. But, and Chanelle, you and I have talked about this on the calls before too. There is one utility, and it's free, and it's from Titanium Software. It's called Onyx, and that does clean out, well, besides your temporary internet files, it cleans a lot of cache files and stuff like that. It's a great, a great program, and I've been using that since probably Snow Leopard. It goes back that far,
Oh.
and I'm using it of course, at that time the rotational drives, and right now it's I'm using Big Sur, so it's it can make a difference. And even if you don't use Onyx, it's good to clear your history out and all that kind of stuff too. So just my
This is
two
Herbie.
thoughts.
Oh, John was still talking. Or
But I have a question specifically for John.
Yeah, okay, well, let him finish.
I'm done. Go ahead, Herbie.
Oh,
Pull your
okay.
stuff together.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So,
Okay.
and somebody else was talking at the same time I was. That's probably why I got confused. So, A, how do you spell that? And B, is that on Safari or the Mac App Store?
Neither. It's Titanium Software.
All right.
And if you Google just a one Y with the uppercase X's and X-ray, you'll find it that way as well.
All
And
right.
they've got flavors. They've got all different flavors, all the way from, I think, snow leopard all the way up through, well, I know Big Sur. But when you add that onyx, you've got to, and I don't want to get too much involved in this, but when you're using Big Sur, I'm thinking here, and you got to add the application itself under security and privacy, accessibility. Let's see what else there. Full disk access. Boy, that's a tough one to see if you're not careful. And files and folders. So it's got to, because if you don't add it there, you're going to get no dialogue at all. So just as a heads up on that. And I'm done.
Thank you. Excellent. And just a reminder to everyone, when you're not asking a question, some of you came in late, so you didn't hear, but please be on mute. That would be great. Help
Audio
our
submenu.
recording, help
Start
everybody.
video. Video submit
So
closed.
thank
Open
you.
participants sub
And
share
then,
screen.
okay, so we are
Share,
hearing
share
somebody's
screen.
screen reader. So have we
Yes,
addressed
you are
all of
currently able.
the questions on this or comments on this topic? All right. I think then Terry had a question.
Excuse me, Chanelle.
Yes.
You've got a Donna with her hand raised. She may be new and not know that we don't do
Yes.
that.
Okay. Yeah. So we thank you so much for telling me, Brad. We do not use the raised hands feature here. So if you want to ask a question, you can just go ahead and unmute and then wait for a pause or wait for a pause, unmute, and announce your name, and then we will take your question. So I want to go to Terry, since he did say his name a little bit ago. So Terry, what?
Yeah, this is Terry with a comment. Going back
Yes.
to emoticons or emojis.
Uh-huh.
What really interested me was I was working with somebody, and when they get the like a birthday message, and in that message somewhere there's a birthday cake, and that was what raised my awareness of the uses of emojis.
Definitely.
And that would be in the food and drink category, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Great. Okay. So Donna, did you have a question?
Yes. So I was on the call last month, and I was the person trying to decide if I wanted an iPad or a Mac.
Uh-huh.
I have decided to get the Mac.
Okay.
And I have ordered a book that's for people like me, beginners.
Uh-huh.
So I was curious. I'm reading about Quick Nav On and Quick Nav Off, and I wanted to know if you guys, what your preference is with that. It looks to me as though to have Quick Nav On is nice for using web browsing, the Safari.
Okay. Brad, go ahead.
QuickNav is a nice utility. Like you mentioned, it can help you in the web. A lot of emails are HTML based, and it can also help there. It can also help you when, for whatever reason, you just want to use one hand to navigate instead of having to use one hand to hold down the VO modifier and another hand to work the arrow keys to navigate. It really comes down to personal preference. When I first got a Mac, I used QuickNav a lot more than I use it now. Now only time I really ever use it is on the web. Although I used to just use it for all my basic voiceover navigation. It's one of those things. When I first got it, it was new. I was figuring things out. And after a while, I learned I just didn't use it as much, because you may decide something entirely different. That's the beauty of the Mac and these different commanders, the QuickNav or the trackpad commander. I used to use that a lot too, and I seldom use that now. But it has a lot of things in a Mac that allow you to decide what works best for you. and use it in a way that is most efficient for you. And congratulations on your decision to move forward with getting a Mac. That's all I got.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, Brad. Anyone else? I do agree. It's personal preference, and you might learn what it is. Some days I'm all about that quick nav, and some days it's like I just can't be bothered to turn it on. So you'll learn what works best. Anyone else have any
This is Sri.
thoughts? Yes, Shri.
Yeah, for me, it's deciding if I'm going to be doing any typing, like any type of editing. If I'm not really doing any editing, then I might stick with QuickNav. But if I'm going to be involved with any kind of typing or editing stuff, then I'm not using QuickNav.
Excellent point. Yeah, you're right. Yes, because I went to go figure out or fill out a quick registration form before coming on here, and I just didn't want to be bothered with turning on QuickNav to get to the form field. So I did VO Command J, and there I was. So you're right. Whether you're editing makes a huge difference.
This is Brad.
Great. Brad.
Follow up with something else. When you have QuickNav on, there is, this was kind of mentioned earlier on the other call we were on earlier, using keyboard navigation for web elements. With QuickNav on, I believe Sandhya mentioned on the earlier call something about QuickNav was on and she used VO and one of the web navigation keys, and it didn't work. And of course that will never work, because with QuickNav, if you use a VO modifier with QuickNav on, you're just doing a VO key. But there's two things you can do for that navigation with web elements. With QuickNav on, you need to enable what's called quick key navigation, which is enabled with VOQ. And that will allow you to, when QuickNav is on, you do not have to use any modifier key. You can just type H for heading, L for links. You can use number row keys to navigate by heading level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go to the next heading at level whatever key you press. So with QuickNav on, if you do not have quick key navigation on, your keyboard will operate as normal and you can type.
That's right.
Or you can toggle that on or off as you wish. For me, I find that I leave it on and I'll just toggle QuickNav on or off. An alternative to that, as I think I mentioned earlier also, with or without QuickNav on, you can do web key navigation using the VO modifier and the command key, and then press your web element navigation keys such as H for headings, L for links, and so on. And of course, using the shift key in any method that you're using to do this will cause you to go backwards. So anyway, that's it.
Yep, excellent. I know. I'm just. It's like I know this stuff, but it's so good to be reminded. So thank you, Brad, and I hope that helps you out a little bit, Donna. So yeah, who has our next question?
Susan.
Yes, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah. Excuse me. I don't remember, but what is the meaning of modifier? Is that the VO?
So modifiers are basically any keys that help you use a key on the Mac or enter a shortcut. So for example, your modifier keys are Command, Option, Control, and Shift. Sorry, would anybody else like to give a better explanation of that?
What about VOM?
Okay, go
like
ahead.
If you were shutting down. Okay.
Go ahead, Shri.
Yeah, so the way I define a modifier key is you use a key combination, meaning that you need to press one key and another key to execute a command. So like our VO is a modifier. Command plus something else is a modifier. It's just any combination of keys requiring to execute a command. And that's the way I define a modifier key.
Yeah. Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Even simpler. A modifier key is a key that causes any key to do something other than what it does by itself.
There you go. That's the
generally,
definition.
generally we think of you holding down, we think of control, and then you press a letter and it would get, or command, and it would press a key and it gives a command. But in its simplest form, the shift key pressed in conjunction with a letter causes that letter to modify to become a uppercase letter. So
Oh, excellent.
very simple.
This is John.
Thank you. Okay, John, go ahead.
This kind of brings up a good discussion here. I don't remember, I guess, was it Donna or whatever decided to get a Mac instead of the iPad.
Uh-huh.
Out of the box, I don't know why Apple does this, but they have the Vol keys as, and Don, you'll understand this or whatever when you get a Mac, but out of the brand new Mac, out of the box, you know, if you have it, if you're going to set it up as new, the Vol key modifiers are not only Control Option and Shift, but they're also Control Option and Caps Lock. And really that causes a lot of chatter. I couldn't believe that, or I don't understand why Apple did that, but I'm going kind of down a rabbit hole. I don't want to get too deep in that, but that's something to watch out for.
Yes, so this is Chanelle, and other people are free to comment. But I think sometimes pressing caps lock one key as opposed to two keys may be a bit easier. That and Apple wants to possibly copy what has worked well from other screen readers. Not everything, but that's my theory. And yeah, I don't know how useful the discussion is, but I'm sorry, who else was speaking?
This is Gail. Well, this is Gail. I mean, I agree with Chanelle. I mean, I think it gives options. Like when the caps lock for me is a lot easier than pressing, you know, the two, and it gives people options. I mean, that's why they did it in the first
This is
place.
John.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Okay, what I meant by out of the box, you know, there's various modifiers you can use for VoiceOver. You can use, you know, Control and Option,
right?
Or as you guys say, the caps lock, which I think works great. But out of the box, a brand new Mac, they will use both the caps lock key and Control and Option, and that's what I'm talking about. That because you try to shut it up, well, it's impossible sometimes. But that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is Gail. Some people though don't like using the caps lock, and they all want to use the Control Option. Other people
This is
want to use the
Keith.
caps lock.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So just I think what John is saying is they kind of
But
give
I
you
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, too
Well,
much.
go ahead, Keith.
I was just going to say this brings up another case where it just becomes personal preference and you have to use both. But like John was saying, hey, just be aware that both of them are in operation when you first open up your Mac.
Yep. Yeah. Excellent.
Well,
Great
I want to point one
summation.
thing that might help Donna and other people. There's also the VoiceOver tutorial, which
Oh, yes.
will talk about this very thing right at the beginning. So that will explain that.
Yep. All right. Great. That is a useful, and it sounds like Donna is making good use of resources already, kind of reading a book and getting into Safari and with VoiceOver. So I hope that continues to go well for you, and definitely ask us if you have any more questions.
This is David.
Yes, David.
Yeah, I have a basic VoiceOver question, and that's
Sure.
something that people argue over a lot.
Okay.
And that is with Windows, you don't always have to press the insert key or caps lock or whatever with every single JAWS or NVDA or narrator command. But you do with some, of course. But with VoiceOver, it seems that you always have to press a modifier key. And I'm wondering, is there a reason for that?
Okay, this is Chanelle. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit biased here and answer you don't always have to. Sometimes, and the thing is, that there are, as with Windows, and there are Mac keyboard commands and there are voice over keyboard commands. And when you're using JAWS or NVDA or any screen reader with Windows and you're not pressing down those modifier keys, you are using basic Windows commands. And on the Mac, similarly, if you're moving in a menu bar, using left, right, up, and down by themselves, move left, right, up, and down. Of course, they're context specific. For example, when I go to the dock, you have to press VOD, but from there on out, I just use the arrow keys by themselves, or I use first letter navigation. In Finder, I do not interact. As long as QuickNav is off, then you can just use the simple arrow keys just as if you're browsing a list of files in Windows. So it's all about how much of your Mac keyboard commands you know, and when you know if those serve you better than voiceover commands or when the voiceover commands might be easier. And I'm sure other people have an opinion or answer on that. That's just mine. So anyway, does anyone else have a comment?
This is John.
Okay, John.
Well, a good example for the Mac users to stay unmuted, Command Shift A.
Yep.
Or it's a toggle. That is not a voiceover command at all. So just giving you a quick example.
Excellent. And I think I heard Keith.
Oh yeah.
I thought I heard Keith. Maybe not.
This is Gail. I could give an example of something with like to paste or is Command V, and a copy is Command C. So some of them are similar to Windows.
Okay.
Instead of using Control, or some of them, are a little bit.
This is Shri.
They're not as many. Not as many. Yeah.
Shri, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just, I think you kind of hinted this before, Chanelle, is they did give you other options besides the VO key. And you gave a good example of why you need it, when you can use it. Why somebody came up with that, we have to go and talk to Apple and
Mr. Benz has left the meeting.
Why they came up with that kind of schematic. Is it perfect? In my eyes, it seems perfect. In other eyes, it may not seem perfect. You do have options, just like the insert key. You have options with the caps lock key. With, like Chanelle said, they all use it. Once you get the hang of it, I don't even think twice that I'm pressing the VO key.
Yeah, excellent. And I think the point David is making is, why does it seem like we have to press the VO key so often? And is that what I think that's what you were asking, David. Or David. I'm sorry, David. David, I do apologize.
I think, Chanelle, is that when I hear people talking about the Mac, when I told someone the other day I'm getting a Mac, he said, because I have borrowed somebody's older Mac and have used it for quite extensively, and I really like it. She said, "Oh my God, you're gonna need 20 fingers." She said, "You're crazy to leave Windows," and this is the kind of attitude that a lot of people seem to have, and that's why I brought it up. But I'm also interested to know, when don't you have to interact? You gave an example, because a lot of people seem to be scared of interaction. I kind of like the model myself, but
well, I think of interaction as necessary when you want to examine details of either examine details of a particular item or get to something that's contained within another item. So if you're just browsing a list of files, and you don't really need to see when they were modified or this and that, you don't need to interact. If you're just trying to read through your email and see what's there. You don't need to, but if you want to, let's say, move down the email table by subject, then you would interact so that you could find the subject column and then do VO down arrow. But if you
This
didn't
is
really
Herbie.
care what column, yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
So one of the things you need to understand from, because I've come from Windows to Mac, and I still use, but anyway, the thing with a lot of the key interactions is you just have to know, once you actually know VoiceOver, and you might find that sometimes maybe you're pressing a couple more keys, but you actually can move through Windows faster. Like, I'll give you a great example. In Zoom on the Mac, on Windows, if you go to you have to go to the main Zoom window or find it in the system tray and go down to settings, and then you're finally there. And then if you want to go through the tabs, you have to find the list of tabs and up and down arrow through them. The Mac, you can be in the Zoom window, do command comma, and you've got two different sections, your table that you can go to and go to the tab you want, and then you simply uninteract and go right to the scroll area and go within the options in that table instead of having to shift tab from the middle of the screen like you would on Windows to get back to the beginning. So I think that you may find that once you understand how the Mac actually works, you may find that in a lot of cases you could actually be, saving yourself a lot of time on the Mac versus Windows. That's what I sometimes find.
Excellent point. There is an easier way in Windows to get to settings, by the way, but the thing, and you don't even always, like in the VoiceOver utility, people talk about interacting in the table there. You don't need to interact. You can just down arrow to find the category you want or use first letter navigation. But for some reason in Zoom, I think the settings so it just really depends too on how the tables are constructed, which doesn't help. Because in Zoom in settings you would interact, and so if you want that consistency, you can always interact. But I'm still coming from Windows, so I do as little as I can get away with. So it's kind of two separate approaches. But yes, Brad, go ahead.
I was going to tell you, in Zoom, in the settings, you don't have to interact.
Okay, I didn't think you did. I didn't think you did.
I know. I'm just kind of bringing it up, just kind of partly just to give you a hard time, but no, not really.
I couldn't remember.
You're giving an excellent explanation, but no, on Zoom it's kind of like the VoiceOver. The VoiceOver utility. You go to the table where the categories, you just arrow up and down, and then when you want, you just do it like on a window. You just use the tab key, and there's a setting in VoiceOver navigation to automatically interact when using the tab key, and you can just it's kind of nice to use just the tab key in the Zoom just because it skips over certain things and just hits the highlights. It's the main thing, so it's kind of quick. I stopped interacting in the Zoom preferences once I figured it out.
Awesome. Okay, that's awesome, Brad. Go ahead, Gail. Yeah.
Point one other thing out.
And somebody has their screen reader going.
That's not me.
System dialog.
Oh,
System dialog.
That's not
all
me.
right. That's
Currently on a button. Cancel.
Screen reader is
Work.
very.
Leave meeting.
It's not me.
I know.
I was just going to point one other thing out for these people about that the trackpad. That if they do you want me to mention that or about if they can use their the iOS.
That's another way to use VoiceOver is with the trackpad and trackpad gestures. Yep.
The iOS gestures. So then they wouldn't, have to worry. I mean, a lot of the, you learn the Mac, but I'm saying that a lot of the gestures that you do on the iPhone, you can do on the trackpad, like the double tap and the swipes and the unmute and stuff and the rotor. You can do on the trackpad, and I know a lot of people that use the trackpad.
Excellent points.
And
Okay,
you
and
can
so
interact
I
and
do want
interact.
to get
So,
back to people's questions.
oh
I
yeah,
love
I'm
these
definitely
Sandhya?
gonna
discussions,
comment.
and this is helpful. But yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, with somebody else ahead of me, I have a quick
I don't think
question.
so. I don't think
Okay.
so. Go
All right,
ahead.
thank you. So the question is, and well, it's been I feel like I should know this. So anyway, my question is, I don't always know what folder my files are going into. And I know we've talked about expanding the little triangle something and then being able to choose. And I don't know, to be honest, I have no idea where they're all going. I know it's kind of embarrassing, but that is my problem. So what do you recommend? Or if I choose one folder, will they always go there after that? Or so it's kind of a compound question.
It's fine. That's great. All right. Who wants to help Sandhya out?
Brad.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Oh, are we talking about when you do a save as? When you're saving something, or are you
Yes,
talking about
saving something, just
Savings and finding your files?
both, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, my answer to that is, unfortunately, no. I find that things depends on the app. If I'm using text edit, things will tend to always go to the folder where I last saved things to. But if I'm doing something, I'm trying to think, I did this just the other day with something and opened up something and it did not go to my, I had opened a file that happened to be in a folder and I did a save as, and I wanted to put it on the desktop and I was using text edit and it was going to put it in the folder where I opened an item and I did a save as and changed its name to something else. And it was going to put it right back in the folder where I got it. So I would just say you kind of got to watch that. This has not been my favorite feature of the Mac. I found that Windows was a little bit easier, but the more I use the Mac, the more I get used to it. I find that if I go to the save as and I navigate to where it says it's going to save it to, I can't remember what it calls it, save to, and it'll say desktop and it's a combo box. I can open the combo box and I can navigate down and it's got some favorite options, but it's also got an ability to, I believe, because I tend to save when all else fails, I put it on the desktop and then later I manually move it to where I want it because that way I know where it is. But there is a disclosure triangle that you can open up and it brings up a little finder window like thing where you can save things too. But I would just be diligent and look at it and experiment. You'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
This is Sri.
Okay, Shri, was it?
Yeah. I use Pages a lot, and when I'm saving files, kind of like what Brad was describing, you get the disclosure triangle. But typically, I'll get my recent files or recent folders that I've saved the files, and so typically it usually has the last, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, maybe 10, I can't remember, but it'll have the most recent folders that you've been working with. So I can easily kind of navigate, just interact, find the folder, because it'll be a list, and then just select the list as you're doing when you do your Command S, you'll get that screen option to select the path that you want. So I've not had issues where I couldn't find at least the most recent folders that I've been working with.
This is John.
Yes, John.
Just the thought too. If you've been using text edit, well, okay. Here's the rules. Any application you first start off with, that triangle is enclosed. So let's say, for an example, for text edit, that's always going to save it to your documents folder. Now, like, I expand that so I know where I'm going with it, but any new application you open up, it's going to, well, I think Pages does the same thing for saving for the first time. But once you expand that triangle, you can still save it there, or then you get the option to choose another folder. But if you don't expand that triangle, then that's gonna be the default location. Now, and Sandra, I think you already know this, but when you download files from the internet, it does go to your downloads folder. I mean, you can edit that to go somewhere else, but by default, it's going to be going to your downloads folder. So there you go.
All
This is
right.
Sandhya.
Yes, Sandhya.
Oh, just to follow up. Okay, so I am primarily using Pages and Word, and so yeah, and thank you, John, and everybody. I have the downloads folders is one folder that I kind of know where it is, and I've created various folders, and like I said, I guess the final follow up is, so that disclosure triangle, so expanding it means, so intuitively, that you're going to see more options. Is that right?
This is John.
John, go ahead.
And that's correct. Yeah. Once you expand that, then you're open to the world.
Well, my experience, this is Sandhya. My experience has been that I don't always seem like I see the ones that I want. So is there a way to like search for more folders, or I need to drill down more, or
Brad.
that's my
Okay,
question.
Brad.
Well, when you open the disclosure triangle, it opens up. It's like in Windows, your save as dialog is like a miniature file explorer dialog. And so when you open the disclosure triangle in a save as box on Mac, you're getting it's basically a finder window, and you have a sidebar, and you can select different locations from the sidebar, and then you can navigate over to the folder view area. And if there is a subfolder in the location you have selected from the sidebar, you will find those subfolders in the folder view area, and you can then select a folder. I believe you want to select it. I don't even think you have to open it. I think just selecting it will select that location. So for example, if you go to the sidebar and you select your iCloud Drive, and then you navigate over to the folder view area and you select the documents folder in iCloud Drive, and then if you open it, you will then see other folders that are in iCloud Drive. And if you just highlight one of them, you don't have to open it. You can then stop interacting with the folder view area, and generally VO, and if you're using a laptop keyboard, VO FN and the right arrow key will take you to it's like same as pressing VO end. I believe the save button is the final item in the window, and you should land on it, and then a VO spacebar will save it to that location.
Okay,
Somebody
I think I need
else
to
correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry.
Yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Just last question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but so in Windows, which is, what we're familiar with for most of us, we can, create a path, with subfolders, names, and so forth. We cannot do that here, right? I don't think so.
This is
right?
Brad.
Okay, Brad and then Shri.
I believe there is a button to create a folder. So if you select that, in my previous example, if I select the documents folder and in iCloud Drive, and there isn't a folder that I need a new one, I believe there is a button that will allow me to create a folder, and it will create it in the location I've selected, which should be documents.
All right,
Can I
Shri?
clarify? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, just so you know, the way I've learned how to create subfolders is depends on how you're viewing. If you're viewing list views versus
Column view.
column view, if you create a folder in list view, it's always going to create a folder in the root directory. But if you do the column view, and let's say you were in the document, let's say you just call it Sandhya's work folder, and you want to create a subfolder. If you were in the column view in that folder and you created a folder, it will create a subfolder for that. But if you are in a list view and you're in Sandhya's work folder and you create a new folder, it's just going to be in the main root. It's not going to be in the sub.
This is Brad.
So you can create multiple subfolders within your main folder. The way I do it is through the column view.
Okay, Brad.
I'm a list view guy, and she's correct. But if I've got my focus on, say, documents, as was my prior example, if I do well, I use VO down arrow to open, or command down arrow, or command O will also open. If I open that documents folder, I'm now in that documents folder, and if I create a folder, it's going to create it in that folder that I'm viewing in my folder view area.
Yes.
This is Herbie.
Okay, I think Sandhya was wanting to, were you still wanting to clarify something,
I don't want to dominate this. Okay, just one last follow-up. What I meant was, like, if you had Sandhya's work folder under that, iBUG, whatever, and then I wanted to put something there, could I type Sandhya's work folder / iBUG and then the name of my folder like we do in Windows, or no?
Says Brad, I don't think you can.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
I'll have to try that. Okay, Herbie.
First of all, this is not a method I particularly care for, and I don't use it, but maybe it would help you, Sandhya. There is a tagging option when you do a save as. So if you can, use the same tag for multiple files, that might help you keep them organized. So just a suggestion there. Second of all, in column view is very easy to use. Just when you create a folder, when you're in the, you just go arrow down to the folder you want to create the folder in, and then you do your Command Shift N, and you just type in your folder name and hit enter, and there you go.
And I think Shri was mentioning that, and that should also work in the save as. Correct.
Yeah, probably. I've never tried creating a folder and save as, so
and that's what we were talking about.
But in general, you can always create. Well, if you can't create it as save as, then you can always create it ahead of time and then go back to save as and find. You'll create it in the Finder and then come back to save as. So.
Yep, and then I also just wanted to mention there is the spotlight. So you could always do Command space from anywhere on your Mac, type in what you think you called the file or some words in the file, and then see if your Mac can find it.
And this is Herbie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
You can also believe use Siri to open files.
Yeah, it's hit or miss, but yes, you can.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
I was just going to say just a general comment about folders and files, especially if you're starting off new. Really think about how you want to create your folder structure so that you don't have to come back and do a lot of house cleaning. So really think hard about how you want your folders to look like. So if you do it right, it'll make your life easy. If you make it difficult, then you're going to be doing a lot of cleaning up.
Isn't that the truth?
This is
Definitely. John. Okay, John, go ahead.
Speaking about the desktop and creating folders, I had a friend I was working with. We're working on his CD. I was sending my tracks, but I was over and he lived about 90 miles from me, so neither one of us drove. But I was over at his house once, and he had a whole boatload of files and folders on the desktop itself.
Oh.
And that can slow down your startup. So it's, kind of like Shri's key, kind of think about what you're doing, but keep your desktop clean. At least that's what I do, because it does make a difference. When you're starting, I just got to look through all the, but I bet he had, well, we're using Pro Tools, and I bet he had 30 different sessions. And each one of those sessions were at least a gig. So you do the math. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah. Excellent point. We do like to stress how the Mac actually does try to load, your desktop. It's in whatever they call it, RAM, or it just makes it so the more you have on the desktop, the slower your Mac will be in like switching apps and things. So excellent point.
This is Gail.
Okay, Gail, go ahead.
No, I had a couple questions. Can I ask some
Just
now?
we'll do one.
Okay. All right, there are a couple quick ones. One of them is the email. I had this email that accidentally got deleted, which I thought would be in not the junk, but the
trash.
Trash. Yes, and I looked in the trash, it wasn't there. And I looked in both the trash and the junk. But I thought, that they're there for a little while, and I, couldn't find it. It was something that I, really kind of needed. Do you know what could have happened?
I can tell you, I don't know what happened, but there is a way to search on your Mac and the mail thing. Now that we have the class on YouTube, I do kind of go over searching in that. But does anyone else want to ask what could have
Because
happened
I
to the
was
email?
thinking that was my first thing, is it would have been right in the trash.
Mm-hmm. There is a way to on the Mac to permanently delete something. So I don't know if, and I can't
This is
remember if
great.
it is. Yes, go ahead.
Is there a way that maybe when you hit the delete, do you bypass the going to the trash and just
How do I do that? Because I just press the delete key. I mean, doesn't the pressing delete go to the trash?
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Command Option is the normal way to delete something. But if you
Oh.
do, I'm sorry, Command Delete is the way to normally delete something. If you hold down Command Option and then press the delete key, you will bypass the trash folder and it's just gone.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, wait a minute.
This
So
is John.
then, wait,
All right,
wait.
John.
Can I ask Brad a question? So pressing delete is not the way to delete emails.
So that'll
right?
delete an email, but not a
Yeah.
folder. I thought you were talking about files.
No,
No,
I'm
she's talking
talking
about email.
about email.
Oh, you're about
Yeah.
email. No, emails. You can't do what I just said in email.
Okay, I was
Email's
just
going to go to
pressing
the
delete.
emails trash folder. I thought you were talking about
I think there is a way
files from a
though.
Finder
Well, go
window.
ahead, John. First of all.
Okay.
No, he said what I was just going to say.
Okay,
So,
okay.
we're good
Yes,
to go.
though I believe, and Herbie found it once, there is a way to permanently delete messages in mail. It's in one of the menus, but I think you would have to be real deliberate about that. So,
Yeah.
then I don't know. And sorry, we can't help you with that, but let's see. We have about 4 minutes, so
Susan.
okay, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before the meeting, but didn't really get to touch on it too much. I still haven't gotten the hang of the focus, like on the Mac. How do you know when it's focused, and does that mean if it's on a particular button or wherever you want to be, say like mute, unmute, that's just an example, or something else, anything else? How do you know it is focused or not?
Well, you use your keyboard commands and then, you hear what VoiceOver is saying.
Like VO, up, down, left, right, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri, go ahead.
I mean, just it's basically when VoiceOver says something, that's where the focus majority of the time is. So
if it doesn't say anything, it means it's not focused.
Well, it can't. If VoiceOver's not reading it, that means it's not focused on it. It's focused. It's only reading whatever it's focused on. Just like in your example of the mute, it says mute when it's focused on mute. When it's focused on something else, it's not saying mute. It's going to read whatever else it's focused on.
I see, and that applies to letters too. Like if you misspelled, say, one of those long medication names, and you found out, oops, I got to go back 10 letters back and correct that letter. But no, I guess the focus wouldn't go with that, would it?
Well, the focus would be that whole word, because unless you changed your rotor to go through, characters or something like that. It's however VoiceOver is reading, that's what the focus is on.
Okay. All right. All right.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks. And if you
Uh-huh.
ever figure out how to focus for us, some of us slow ones, let me know. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us for Mac and Talk tonight. And please, by all means, don't forget about our website. Go there and ibugtoday.org. Look at the upcoming events tab. Right now, it just shows things for June, but it will be updated. Register on our site. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We've got a few things in Clubhouse coming up, our movie. So I don't know if there's any closing things you wanted to say, Sandhya.
Just really want to encourage everybody to come to the Mac Buzz that's going to be on Clubhouse. We're really excited about that. We're very thankful for Herbie for offering to help us with that. And that's going to be a great program. And that'll be on Wednesday, starting on July 7th. It'll be a weekly program from 5 to 7. So, for everybody that is really eager to learn this amazing machine, I think we'll have another opportunity. So thank you guys for that. And thank you, everybody. And
Hey,
all right.
this is Shree.
Yes, Shree.
Sandhya, do you know, are they going to record that one or is it just going to be non-recorded?
we haven't decided on that. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. So,
Yeah, hopefully
all
it'll be
right.
recorded.
Okay.
All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
All right. Thank you.
Chanelle.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.